I'm trying to think of a metaphor. When you're fishing, you're just casting your rod, putting the bait on, casting your rod, reeling it in, catch 10 fish. One of those fishes might turn into a great dish. It's like asking the people that are enjoying that fish dish, this is the best fish I've ever eaten. Well, I caught it myself. Like, I didn't know how awesome the meal was gonna be after the ingredients were put together and whatnot. That's what I'm... Wasn't even something that I chased. It was absolutely not a life goal of mine. It wasn't even on my path. I was always very interested in building everything. I was the kid that tore apart my electronics, tore apart the alarm clock to see how it worked. My father was very big in, let's fix everything ourselves. Everything that can be broken can be fixed. I was 10 years old. We were swinging a sledgehammer to break a hole through our basement wall, dug out the dirt on the other side, and we built our own staircase down, our own cellarway, because we had no door into our basement. So we created one. We busted through the concrete, dug out the dirt, put the bricks in. We would change our own car batteries, change our own car exhaust oil. So it was skills that were learned on our own, on my own, from the people around me. Ever since the late 70s, my family would always go to the theaters together, me and my brother, my mother, my father, me, my brother, and my sister. We would all go together to watch Star Wars. Since high school, before high school, probably junior high school, my brother was in a band, and so we were always around local bands, and it was just what happened. Other people had their drum sets and their bass guitars and their guitars and whatever, and so I started a band also, and like the local neighborhood band, and there was like 4 bands in our little town of friends, and we would play places, start little shows, play parties and whatnot. I learned how to sing very early on in life, and I just wanted to do it. It had to do with thing. Everybody I met, I said, hey, I'm in a band and we're playing here, blah, blah, blah. I was very good at self-promotion. Back then, if you went to a studio and you recorded, you would get cassette tapes made, and that was an expensive undertaking. So we would just play as often as we could and offer people free tickets to our shows and whatnot. Because there was no internet back then, we would come up with a different name every show sometimes. But after studio recording, it was Carbon 14, Supine. I think Supine might actually still be a band. When I left high school, I was told, basically, we can't teach you anything here. You're more of a disruption. We think it would be better if you moved on to higher education. So I left right after 11th grade and went to college for a semester. And the college required me to pay for high school classes because back then you needed to pass an entrance exam. They said, okay, but now you're in. Now you can pay for Algebra 1 again. And I was like, this doesn't seem to make any sense to me because this isn't what I want to take. And so after that, after the first semester, I said, I'm out of here. To me, I wasn't looking for a career from college. I was looking for education. And I already knew how to teach myself. It was very obvious, I believe, to my friends and family that was definitely not going to be my path. I was working at a restaurant that my buddy started. So I was only working 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. My brother was already working for the Maryland Zoo. He was working there as the HVAC foreman, heating and air conditioning. His car broke down, and he asked me for a ride into work. So I picked him up and I gave him a ride into work. And I figured while I was there, I didn't want to drive a half hour home and then a half hour to pick him up later because I didn't have anything to do that day. So I said, hey, can I hang out here? And they said, hey, why don't you volunteer? So I signed up to volunteer. Well, his car was down for about a week. So that whole week that I was working, volunteering with my brother, we would wake up at 8 a.m., or 7:30ish to get to work by 8:30. Then I was there till 3:30. Then I would come home, sleep for a few hours, drive up, run that bar. And I did that. And so that fed me, and I was just always working wherever there was something to fill. I learned how to do it, and I would do it for cheap because I didn't have any credentials. After I proved myself, they were like, hey, well, here's a way to move up. Now that you're involved, you can become a foreman and make this much more money. So I went online and I got the information needed to study for the general contractor's license, studied for it, went, paid the $75, took the exam, passed it, got my general contractor's license. That got me the skill set for prop making. Back when I was a teenager, my buddy Brad, who lived across the street from me, wanted to go into town. So we got into his mom's, I want to say it was a Hyundai Elantra green. Brad always did this thing when we were driving around just the local neighborhood, driving 15, 20 miles an hour. He would shake the steering wheel to like shake everybody up in the car. And you actually see people doing this nowadays as trends, where they have a bunch of people with like 400 water cups from a fast food place, and then the driver shakes the steering wheel so that the person holding all the water spills it all over the place. You can see memes of this all the time. This particular day, we just stopped leaving our neighborhood at the very top of the road that we lived on. There was a Dash-In, Dashin. It was like a 7-Eleven type store. So we stopped in there, and for $1 you could get this big 32-ounce soft drink. So I got a root beer. I remember filling it to the top and using barely any ice so I could get a whole bunch of root beer. We turn onto the main road at the top of the community that leads out towards the highway, which at the time I think was like 55 miles an hour. And it was a 3-lane highway that they were expanding into like a 7-lane highway. We start cruising. We got about 15-minute ride to get into the city. It's beautiful. No traffic, no clouds in the sky. It's completely clear. Everything's great. And I had that big root beer. And I was wearing these burgundy, oxblood colored wingtips. And I put my feet up on the dash, and I was drinking my soda. We were doing 80 some miles an hour. And I guess when I went to go take a drink, he thought it would be funny to shake the steering wheel again so that I wouldn't be able to get the straw in my mouth. We hit the wall so hard, the styrofoam cup that the root beer was in just disintegrated and went everywhere. We were completely covered with root beer. We broke traction, skidded out, and then slammed into the concrete wall. The car didn't come to an immediate stop. It basically bounced off, but my feet were on the dash. So when we hit, my feet slipped up and kicked the windshield out. But Brad slammed into the steering wheel. I didn't have the lap belt on, so I just crawled. And I thought he was dead. So I remember trying to like give him CPR while we're still like sliding down the road with the front end of the car all mangled, can't even see out the window. And he wakes up. We crossed the highway to get over to where the construction workers were, and they had laid like a foot deep layer of asphalt. When we walked into it, we sank into it like up to our shins. I remember apologizing to the construction workers there that we damaged their road. Said, no, don't you worry about that. You guys need medical attention. A couple minutes later, the police, the Maryland State Police showed up and took us to get checked out. If anything would have been different, if he would have hit his chest an inch higher, he would have killed himself. If I wouldn't have had my feet on the dash, I would have been out the window or slammed over it. It's amazing how things happen to be in the perfect place for this to become a learning experience rather than a funeral experience.